Media Malfeasance Vacation Edition, bringing you its ignored, sensationalized, misleading, or just plain false. President Biden tests positive for COVID again this week after first testing positive on July 21st, which is very strange since he's been current with all his shots and boosters.
You're okay. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
In another, to quote Biden, rare instance, quadruple vaxxed and N95 masked German Health Minister Karl Lauterbach also tests positive for COVID.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But now we have a new pandemic to worry about. The Biden administration is now declaring monkeypox a public health emergency. CNBC says the U.S. has confirmed more than 6,000 monkeypox cases over the past 2 months, but fails to highlight there have been 0 deaths in our country, or that it is rarely fatal. Now compare that to nearly 2,000 fentanyl deaths here in Florida since the beginning of this year. And that's just one state, yet no federal emergency. At least Governor DeSantis is taking action on that front. You know what federal action was dismissed regarding monkeypox? A greater awareness campaign during a month the most at risk for monkeypox could have used it. Pride Month.
Real smooth.
As CNBC points out, gay and bisexual men are at the highest risk of infection right now. About 98% of patients who provided demographic information to clinics identified as men who have sex with men, according to the CDC. Fresh off redefining recession, will raising taxes be the next concept redefined? Some say the Inflation Reduction Act will do the opposite of what it claims and even violate Biden's tax pledge.
Nobody making under $400,000 would have their taxes raised, period. Bingo.
Under my plan, if you make less than $400,000, you won't pay a single penny more in taxes. You have my word on it.
But whether or not that pledge will be broken depends on which so-called expert you ask. We do know the Inflation Reduction Act would amp up the IRS by adding $80 billion to the IRS budget and hiring as many as 80,000 more auditors and agents, according to the New York Post. Let's see if the White House press secretary can clear anything up.
He promised it wasn't going to raise taxes on anybody making less than $400,000 a year, but the Joint Committee on Taxation says that is not true.
Well, that isn't correct.
So the Joint Committee on Taxation, which you guys heralded as an effective body when you were selling that infrastructure package, is not to be trusted here.
I said it is not correct because I will give you why it's not correct, because it is incomplete. The JCT report that we're currently seeing is incomplete because it omits the actual benefits that Americans would receive when it comes to prescription drugs, when it comes to lowering energy costs like utility bills. It does not include that.
Not sure if that makes it clearer, but we did learn this week, if you're patriotic, the FBI might think you're a terrorist.
Yesterday, it was reported that Project Veritas had obtained a copy of an FBI training material, which listed various symbols and themes which, in the FBI's estimation, were indicative of, quote, militia violent extremism. Now, these symbols weren't things like the Ku Klux Klan or the Nazi Party, which naturally would be symbols of that, but instead they included, rather astonishingly, patriotic symbols of our nation and our history. Included on this list is the Betsy Ross flag. Now, that's fairly remarkable that the Betsy Ross flag in the FBI's indication is indicative of militia violent extremism, because among other people who have been publicly alongside the Betsy Ross flag, we have President Barack Obama, who was sworn in directly underneath 2 Betsy Ross flags. But it's not just President Obama. We also have President Biden, who was sworn in under Betsy Ross flags. Director Wray, what are y'all doing? This makes no sense.
Politico and NPR cover key primary wins, breaking out their buzzwords of election deniers to describe who won. Despite another mail-in ballot dump, oddly in a GOP race, not so oddly for the establishment's pick, Kerry Lake secures her spot in Arizona, even with all the problems in Pinal County. The RNC and Republican Party of AZ released this statement. During Arizona's primary elections, the Poll Observer program documented and reported multiple failures by the county's election administrator, including 63,000 mail-in ballots delivered to the wrong voters and multiple Republican-heavy precinct locations running out of ballots. Why is the media so dishonest on this topic and others? Perhaps it's the Chinese Communist Party influence on the media. Bureau chiefs for the Associated Press, CNN, and CNBC took a meeting with the Chinese People's Association for Friendship with Foreign Countries, which is part of China's billion-dollar United Front effort, according to the national polls. Wrapping up the week, Governor DeSantis dumps the Soros-backed Florida state attorney.
Elect people in one part of the state to have veto power over what the entire state decides on these important issues. The Constitution of Florida has vested the veto power in the governor, not in individual state attorneys. And so when you flagrantly violate your oath of office, when you make yourself above the law, you have violated your duty, you have neglected your duty, and you are displaying a lack of competence to be able to perform those duties. And so today we are suspending State Attorney Andrew Warren effective immediately. We are not going to allow this pathogen that's been around the country of ignoring the law. We are not going to let that get a foothold here in the state of Florida. We are going to make sure that our laws are enforced and that no individual prosecutor puts himself above the law.
Reporting from the Following the Rule of Law and Free State of Florida, I'm Christy Lee.